Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Today I'm going to talk about the placement of the Dashamsa, the D10 Lagna Lord in different houses in the D10 chart itself. What is the manifestation, what is the meaning, what is the denotation of that, and how by basis of the placement of the Lagna Lord of the D10 chart in different houses within the D10 chart, it brings about a certain possibility for you, how you should be looking at that placement and where does it point to in getting certain results for you in your career, in your work, in your karma. Now when the Lagna Lord of the D10 chart goes into the first house itself, in the Lagna itself. So what is the Lagna? The Lagna is your stature in society, how people look at you, and what is your approach to life in general. So when we are talking about the Lagna of the D10 chart, the D10 chart's Lagna represents how you project yourself at work and in general in different actions in your life or in different karmic areas of your life, the karma of your life in general. This is also about how do others see you, how you work and how you bring about certain results. So in your work area, in your career, how others see you and how do you define work. Is it very meaningful for you? Is this an approach of life that you have, that you need to work? Do you see in your work a purpose of life? Do you see your life connected to your work? Do you see that it's important to work? And how are you able to project yourself, and what kind of stature, what kind of respect, what kind of standing in society you may get because of your work, because of your karma, because of your different actions, because it is not only about your work but it is about your actions in general. And how work seems to you. Is it drudgery? Is it fun? Is it hard work? Or is it responsible? And what is your objective at work? So basis what sign goes into the Lagna, your approach to work will also be similar. If it's Leo, you will be more responsible at work, or that's how at least your work is defined for you. If it's Virgo, your work is defined for you to be more service oriented. If it's Cancer, then you need to be more supportive, more nourishing at work. And also basis which planet goes into the first house, that will also bring how others see you and how you will get results in your work. It will also showcase how you define your stature or you arrive at a certain stature designation of life related to your work, how your standing at work is seen through the planets which are also placed in the Lagna. Are you seen as a nourishing person? Are you seen as a responsible person? Are you seen as a no-nonsense person? Are you seen as a more practical person? This is what planet goes into the first house. Now the second house related to your D10 chart, the Dashamsa, is about how do you define nourishment or livelihood connected to your work, connected to different karmic results that you have, your karma in your life. And obviously your karma is more also related to your work. How do you see rewards for your work? Do you see rewards for your work more as money that you should get or stocks that you get? Do you prefer high appreciation than money? What values or principles define you connected to work? What values do you demonstrate at work? Are you ready to bend the rules for better rewards? How do others see you in areas of getting livelihood or getting money? Do you see yourself as someone with integrity concerning money, and do you want to be seen as someone with integrity connected to money or earning a livelihood? All of these are seen from the second house. Obviously, which sign goes into the second house will bring in its own flavor. So if it's Virgo, it means you will be seeing yourself as more service oriented in earning money. If it's the Libra sign, then you will use relationships to be earning more money and to be earning your livelihood. And this is what planet goes into the second house, that flavor will also come in. If it's Sun which goes into the second house, then you will also like to earn your self-respect. You will carry yourself with a lot of dignity in your livelihood, and you will not cut corners where responsibility is concerned. When the Lagna Lord of the D10 chart goes into the third house, what is the third house? Connected to your work, connected to your career, connected to your karma. This is about what is your idea of effort which the third house represents. Are you ready to bend your back to put in more hard work? How are you ready to work or put in effort? Is it with dedication, with a lot of caring approach, or with a lot of tact, diplomacy, or even manipulation? Are you ready to put in more smart work versus hard work? Is it a more Sagittarius approach to work that you want to have, adventurous or fun loving, or the Capricorn approach to work, which is more practical and which is more organized? So, which sign goes in also will define your approach to work, approach to the third house, effort, self-enterprise. And what is your capacity to influence others? How do you communicate with others? How do you see yourself communicating with others, connected to work or to be able to derive work or to get results? How you showcase yourself at work? How do you try to convince people? Do you try to convince people through rewards or awards, or offering them some carrot, offering them the corner office, offering them some designation, or offering them support when you are required to give it back to them? Do you like to go for short journeys if need be, connected to your work which the third house represents, and how much you do use, and how tactfully, how beautifully, how well do you use social media or use emails or your communications to work, to get work done? Now, which planet goes into the third house will also bring in its own flavor. For example, if Mercury goes into the third house, then communication will be the spine of your work. Communication will be the way that you approach work, you influence people, and how you derive your best results. And similarly, for other planets, you will get that flavor when connected to the third house, connected to your Dashamsa, the D10 chart. Now, when the Lagna Lord in the D10 chart goes into the fourth house, so here it is seen how you will nourish others at work. Do you support others at work if required? If they ask you, what is your approach to supporting others, helping others? If need be, also going out of your way to be able to nourish others, give them time. Do you extend your beyond your time, beyond your authority, if required, to stand by others? And to what extent can you go to build your cocoon around work or comfort around at work? Because the fourth house is about the house that you build at work, the comfort that you build at work, the cocoon that you build at work. And do you mind stepping out of your comfort zone, or do you like to be relegated to your office only? And do you like to go out of your area of comfort, or you're always at your desk and think that it's best to communicate via email or the phone rather than approaching others, or rather than wanting to step out of office? Do you like to be confined within the air-conditioned office, or do you don't mind going out of your comfort zone to be able to extract work or get work done? And is there some reason that you work? Is there to build more assets, which the fourth house means, or is there a higher goal towards your work? Now, which sign goes into the fourth house will also bring in its own flavor, own meaning along with the planet. If it's the Capricorn sign, then you'll want to work with a lot of hard work, dedication, organized effort to be able to get better results out of work, to be able to build your assets, and to get the most out of your work area. If it's the fifth house in which the Lagna Lord of the D10 chart, the Dashamsa, goes, then what is the fifth house about? It is about what do you like most at work? Do you like to work? What interests you have at work, or what interests you most? What keeps you occupied at work, or do you work in the area which you love? Do you choose to do what you like to do or love to do, or you just work for remuneration even if the work is drudgery? Do you see your work as your baby, your child, or your product, or is it just the way to get money? How you treat your work as your child, as your baby? And then how much risk are you able to or ready to take at work? What kind of upheavals are you ready to be able to face at work? Because the fifth house is the eighth house to the 10th house. How creative or innovative are you at work? How disciplined are you at? Now, which sign goes into the fifth house will also bring in its own flavor. If it's the Taurus sign, then you will be really bullheaded, very strong-headed about the work, and you will only do work which more or less appeals to you, which you feel is adding value and which you like to do. If it's Sagittarius, you may be more adventurous at work. You may also be more risk-taking and not averse to taking risks. And which planet goes into the fifth house in your D10 chart, in your Dashamsa chart, will also bring its own flavor. If it's Sun, then you will take a lot of responsibility also connected to work. And if you also love your work and you're able to take responsibility, then you may also shine at work. And similarly, depending on what planet goes in, will bring in its own flavor when the Lagna Lord goes into the fifth house in the D10 chart. Now, if the Lagna Lord of the Dashamsa chart, the D10 chart, goes into the sixth house, what is the meaning of this? This means, do you work to serve or do you work to just keep the kitchen fires burning? Do you like to work? And do you mind doing a subordinate job or working under someone, or you always want to be the leader? So with the Lagna Lord going into the sixth house, it brings a lot of service orientation. Do you mind if a leadership role is given to you or not, or working and adding value in some or the other way, being a contributor is more important for you? Do you fight for authority, or you are ready to bid your time to grow? And how do you face opposition or competition at work? Do you create enemies at work? And how do you handle strong, stiff opposition to your work, or stiff or constructive feedback given to you? Are you ready to let go of your relations and walk over someone to grow at work? Or working with people closely is important for you? And do you fight if you need to keep your comforts at work, keep your role and designation at work, or you keep away from all the fights and all the grapevine or all the tact and diplomacy at work? Now, which planet goes into the sixth house and which sign goes into the sixth house will bring in its own flavor. If it's the Pisces sign in the sixth house, you may be a little bit emotional at work also. On the other hand, if Rahu goes into the sixth house, then you will also be up for a fight. You will not let go of competition or stiff opposition without a fight, and you will give back to people, and you will also play fire with fire. And similarly, different planets which go into the sixth house will bring in their own meaning, own definition. Now, if it's the seventh house in which the Lagna Lord of the D10 chart, the Dashamsa chart, goes into, then this is about how important are relations for you at work. Do you work at building relationships, partnerships, or you shun partnerships or relationships? Do you like to work in teams? Do you like to work in teams, or are you a one-man show? How strong are your relations at work? Will someone go out of the way to do things for you, and will you? Are you ready to sacrifice your own comforts, credit for the team? How far can you go for your team, for your department, or for your company? Do you keep in touch with people or with your colleagues once you leave work, or once you leave the organization, or when you move on? Do you see a new job, when you get into a new job, as a long-term commitment or a short-term gap arrangement before you move on for better pastures, for better work? Are you loyal to the team, to the department after you have left the organization and moved on? And are you ready to dump someone, let go of partnership, let go of relationships to grow at work? So all of these will also be impacted by which sign goes into the seventh house. If it's Cancer sign, then you will also be emotionally connected to the relationships at work, the network at work. If it's the Ketu planet which goes into the seventh house, then you may do a lot more for others, and there will be very less that you do for yourself, or there will be a big struggle to get more out of work, or extract more out of work. And similarly, different planets which go into the seventh house, different signs, will also bring in their own flavors, their own manifestations. Now, if it's the eighth house in which the Lagna Lord of the D10 chart, the Dashamsa chart, goes, what does it mean? It means that what brings you the biggest challenges at work? Is it the relations which bring you the biggest challenge, or the money that you get, or the remuneration that you are getting, or is it the authority figures which are your biggest challenge at work? What upheavals are brought upon you by yourself, or your approach to do things because of which something happens out of the blue? What and how much responsibility are you ready to take when things get stuck, or when they don't go your way? How do you remove those roadblocks? Do you use threats? Do you cajole people into acting in a certain way, or do you use your relations and your network? How ready are you at your work when sudden challenges, obstacles, issues hit you? Or do you lose your cool often and not able to figure out how to approach things when things go wrong? How often do things go wrong at work and how do you solve them? Are you more secretive of what you're doing, what projects you're into, what is your output, and keep your cards close to your chest? Or are you someone who works with all your cards open? Do you give up when you're faced with unsurmountable challenges, or are you somebody who's flexible and up to the task? So all of this comes to the fore when your Lagna Lord goes into the 8th house. Now, which sign is there in the 8th house, which planet goes into the 8th house will bring its own flavor, its own meaning. If it's Scorpio sign, then surely you may be more tactful, more secretive at work. If it's Mercury which goes into the 8th house, then you will also be someone who will be taking very intelligent decisions, who will also be very logical when you face work and when you take your decisions, rather than somebody who works on emotions. If moon goes into the 8th house and you face challenges. So similarly, different signs and different planets going into the 8th house will bring in their own flavor, own meaning. Now, if the Lagna Lord goes into the 9th house in your D10 chart, in your Dashamsa chart, what does this mean? It means that to what extent will you use your learning at work? How much will you use your experience and your learning to be able to get better output from work, to solve challenges at work, to build relationships at work? And do you intend to build your expertise at work? Do people see you as an expert or a guru? Do you aspire that people should respect you for your learning, for your experience? Or are you happy that people leave you alone rather than come to you for advice? Do people see you as a troubleshooter at work? And how do you use life's experiences and work experiences help you become a better professional? Do you like more variety at work and have no qualms to work with people from different ethnicities, different cultures, even different countries, different backgrounds? And is your endeavor to constantly learn, to constantly upgrade yourself, or you do it only under duress? So this is what the meaning of the Lagna Lord going into the 9th house means. Now, which sign goes into the 9th house will bring in its own flavor. If it's Jupiter, then there is no dearth of learning. You will want to learn more because the planet Jupiter is going into the 9th house. If it's the Aries sign which goes into the 9th house, then there will be a lot of goal orientation to learning. There will be a lot of killer instinct and the instinct to achieve when Aries sign goes into the 9th house. So depending on which sign goes into the 9th house, which planet goes into the 9th house, will also bring its own flavor, own meaning, own manifestation to the Lagna Lord placed in the 9th house in the D10 chart. If it's the 10th house in which the Lagna Lord goes in the D10 chart, in the Dashamsa chart, what does it mean? It means, what does growth at work mean for you? Is it authority? Is it better relations with superiors? Is it needing or wanting the corner office or getting a higher designation? How do your superiors see you? Do they see you as a workaholic, as an expert, or somebody who shuns work, or is somebody who wants to build a team, is good at his or her work in leadership, is innovative, is creative? Do your superiors, do your managers approach you to troubleshoot or handle an important assignment if there is a need, if there is a fire? Are you among the top workers in your department, or are you bottom of the pile? If your boss suddenly needs to go or to move on, are you somebody who is in line for the next role, or you are the last of the pit? And do you grow fast in your work? Is your growth quick, or you are a laggard? You have to really struggle to work and to grow higher in work, higher in designation, higher in authority connected to your career. And how do you project your power? Do you project your power through authority, your closeness to superiors, because of your designation, or because of the role that you play in your organization, or because of your expertise, or because of your relationships, that power and influence comes to you? Now, which sign goes into the 10th house will also define what characteristic the Lagna Lord is also showcasing by virtue of being placed in the 10th house in that particular sign. If it's the sign of Gemini, then you will not hesitate to put in hard work, but sometimes you may also be a little confused Am I in the right career? Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something else? Should I be doing this or that? Is this the right decision to take or not? And which planet goes into the 10th house will also define what kind of an approach you may have at work. If it's Sun, it's really with a lot of authority, accountability you may work. If it's Mars, you may work with a lot of willpower, with a lot of focus and ready to put up a fight also. And similarly, which sign goes into the 10th house, which planet goes into the 10th house will bring in its own meaning, own manifestation when the Lagna Lord in the D10 chart goes into the 10th house. If the Lagna Lord in the D10 chart, in the Dashamsa chart, in the Dashman chart goes into the 11th house, what does it mean? It shows to what extent will you be ready to go to build a strong network at work, and how ambitious you are at work, and are your wishes or desires connected to work? How do you want to achieve through your work? How much do you relate to your work? How much you add value to others also, and to the masses? And you see yourself as a contributor, not just another spoke in the wheel. You put in a lot of effort to keep the relations at work and to grow in the relationship, and through those relationships to also grow at work. And you like to work in large organizations, or you prefer to work in small intimate areas, is the meaning also of the Lagna Lord going into the 11th house. And do you have friends at work? Do you socialize with people at work? Do you have a larger social connect even when leaving work? And do you keep in touch with people even when you have left the organization, you have moved on? Maybe even after a decade, are you still in touch with some people? And does work mean something for you? Is it towards a cause that you're working? Is there something that you think you're contributing and you're giving to society or to the large masses? Is there a purpose because of which you work in a certain area, in a certain department, in a certain project, in a certain industry? And all of this is coming from the Lagna Lord's placement in the 11th house in the D10 chart. Now, which sign goes into the 11th house, which planet goes into the 11th house will also have its own meaning. If it's Mercury, then you will be really young at heart, and you may have a lot of young people also, maybe your own age or much younger to you also, with whom you have good relations, who you may call your friends, and with whom you socialize also. And who knows, you may even find a relationship out of work because of your Lagna Lord placed in your 11th house. And so, which sign goes into the 11th house, which planet goes into the 11th house will also bring in its own flavor, own meaning, own manifestation. If it's the 12th house in which the Lagna Lord goes in your D10 chart, in your Dasman chart, in the Dashamsa chart, this means to what extent do you go to contribute at work? Do you hesitate if you need to put in longer hours at work? Do you feel hard work is a waste of time and effort? How much do you feel you are able to contribute, and how much of that is a waste of time or your labor is your approach to work? Do you feel that you're paid adequately, if not handsomely? Is there something larger, even spiritual at work, which appeals to you, which appeals to your emotions, which appeals to your heart, which keeps you connected to your work, connected to the contribution, connected to the service, connected to the achievement that you do? And does that work mean enough for you that even if you keep getting lesser, or the industry doesn't pay you enough, or doesn't grow that much in remuneration, will you continue to work for that cause? Will you continue to work for that industry because there is a certain attachment that you feel towards the work, towards that contribution of that work? And to what extent will you go out of the way even when there are no rewards, even there is no chance that you may also be served back? Do you see your work connecting you to something ethereal, something spiritual, to even something higher than you, to even some supreme energy or godly that you see connected to your work? Do you see your work as a purpose of your existence, to give meaning to your existence? Do you want to leave a strong legacy behind once you have moved on? And do you want people to remember you long after you've gone as a contributor, as somebody who added a lot of value to the work, to the department, to the organization, to the industry? And do you truly feel that through your work, through your contribution, you truly reached God, reached the supreme energy itself? And that is the meaning of the Lagna Lord going into the 12th house and the D10 chart in the Dashamsa chart. So friends, now that we have discussed where the Lagna Lord goes in which house in the D10 chart, in the Dashamsa chart, will bring in its own flavor, own meaning, along with which sign it has and what planets go into that house, what planets aspect, are there any conjunctions, Are there synergies of energies rather than any yogas or doshas? Basis that, find more meaning in your career, find more meaning in your work, find more contribution in your work, and using these manifestations, these denotations, understanding your dashmans better, be able to derive most out of your work, most out of your karma, and truly be happy and become a better contributor at work. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me with the link given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.